Years later, the olive tree stood as a shining example of what a business could achieve when respect and empowerment were placed at its core. The story of the waiter who once insulted his owner became a legendary tale, often recounted to new staff as a reminder of the values that sustained their success. Jake, now a seasoned team leader, reflected on his journey with gratitude, knowing that the night he underestimated Big Shaq was the night that changed his life forever. Big Shaq continued to lead with passion and purpose, his influence reaching beyond the restaurant into wider conversations about race, leadership, and dignity in the workplace. The restaurant's success was not just measured in accolades or profits, but in the lives it touched and the culture it nurtured. It was a testament to the idea that true power lies not in titles or money, but in the ability to inspire change, uplift others, and build a community grounded in respect and humanity. The ripple effect of that unforgettable night went far beyond the restaurant walls as word spread about the encounter between Big Shaq and Jake, inspiring conversations in the local community and beyond about respect, humility, and the dangers of snap judgments. Big Shaq became a symbol of leadership that was not about asserting dominance, but about uplifting those around him, and his story was shared in forums, podcasts, and social media, sparking a broader dialogue on how appearances can be deceiving, and why empathy matters in every interaction. Jake, once overwhelmed by shame and regret, transformed into a passionate advocate for change, speaking openly about his growth and the importance of seeing people beyond surface impressions. Their story became a beacon, encouraging others to challenge their biases and strive for kindness, showing that even moments of conflict can birth powerful movements for understanding and inclusion. As the olive tree embraced its new identity, rooted in respect and community, Big Shaq took his mission a step further by collaborating with other business leaders to create an alliance dedicated to promoting diversity and equity in hospitality and the arts. This coalition organized events, workshops, and scholarships, providing resources and platforms for underrepresented voices to thrive. Shaq's vision was clear. Success should be accessible to all, regardless of background, and businesses must serve as agents of positive social change. The Alliance's initiatives garnered widespread attention, attracting partnerships with local governments and educational institutions, amplifying their impact. Through this work, Big Shaq demonstrated that leadership is not confined to the boardroom, but extends into the very fabric of society, shaping futures and redefining what it means to be successful. Meanwhile, Jake's personal journey of redemption continued to inspire those around him. He went back to school to study hospitality management, driven by a desire to not only improve his skills, but to create environments where respect and dignity were foundational values. His experiences fueled his determination to become a leader who could empathize with staff and customers alike, understanding the challenges faced by those often overlooked. Jake's story was featured in community programs and motivational talks, highlighting how mistakes can be catalysts for growth. When met with humility and a willingness to learn, his relationship with Big Shaq evolved into one of genuine mentorship and friendship, embodying the transformative power of second chances and compassionate leadership. In the years that followed, the olive tree remained a thriving, beloved institution, not just because of its exquisite cuisine, but because of its heart, a culture of respect, inclusion, and empowerment that permeated every corner. Patrons returned not only for the food, but for the warmth and dignity they experienced, while employees took pride in working for a leader who valued them as people first. Big Shaq's influence extended into new ventures, all carrying the same ethos of kindness and leadership. The legacy born from one night of tension had blossomed into a movement, proving that true success is measured not by wealth or status, but by the positive impact one leaves on others. The story of the waiter and the owner became a timeless reminder that respect is the foundation of community and that every person deserves to be seen and valued. The aftermath of that unforgettable night rippled far beyond the walls of the olive tree. Social media caught wind of the incident, with patrons praising Big Shaq's composed handling and the meaningful message about respect regardless of appearances. Jake faced a crossroads when he was called in for a private meeting with Shaq and management. Instead of punishment, he received an offer for mentorship and growth, guided personally by Big Shaq. This act of grace transformed Jake's perspective on professionalism and human dignity, teaching him that success was not just about serving tables, but serving people with respect and kindness. Big Shaq used the incident as a catalyst to launch a Respect at Every Table campaign within his restaurant, emphasizing inclusivity and empathy and fostering a culture where every employee understood the power of their attitude toward every customer. This shift not only improved the restaurant's atmosphere but set a new standard within the hospitality industry, showcasing Big Shaq's leadership as both compassionate and visionary. Months later, the Olive Tree had become more than just a dining venue. It was a symbol of transformation and respect. The story of the waiter and the owner who humbled him became a defining moment that staff and guests alike referenced with pride. Jake, now a mentor himself, often shared the tale of his awakening, emphasizing the value of humility and the danger of assumptions. Big Shaq, meanwhile, continued to lead by example, proving that true power comes not from wealth or fame, but from the ability to inspire change and nurture respect. The restaurant thrived, not only for its exquisite cuisine, but for its culture of dignity and inclusiveness, reminding everyone that sometimes the most profound lessons come from unexpected encounters, and that respect is a currency far more valuable than any tip or paycheck. Through grace and leadership, Big Shaq transformed a moment of insult into a lifelong legacy of respect and empowerment. Following the life-changing encounter at the Olive Tree, Big Shaq took it upon himself to not only rectify the disrespect Jake had shown, but to initiate a broader cultural transformation within his establishment. Recognizing that one incident was symptomatic of larger issues prevalent in the hospitality industry and beyond, Shaq launched an internal campaign known as Respect at Every Table, aimed at educating and empowering every employee to embrace empathy, inclusivity, and professionalism. This campaign was far from a simple training seminar. It became a movement that reshaped the very soul of the restaurant. Workshops, personal storytelling sessions, and open dialogues encouraged staff to confront their biases and embrace diversity not just as a policy, but as a lived value. Shaq shared his own stories of struggle, prejudice, and perseverance, forging a connection with employees that transcended hierarchy. Jake, initially overwhelmed by the weight of his mistake, blossomed under Shaq's mentorship, evolving into one of the restaurant's most respected waiters and advocates for kindness. Shaq's leadership style, combining firm accountability with unwavering support, proved revolutionary, transforming the Olive Tree from a mere dining venue into a beacon of social change. The restaurant's reputation soared not only for its exquisite food, but also for the warmth and respect patrons experienced, illustrating how leadership grounded in empathy can elevate an entire community. Months turned into a year, and the ripple effects of that single night extended far beyond the Olive Tree's polished floors. Big Shaq's story inspired other business owners to reconsider how they treated customers and employees alike, sparking conversations about race, respect, and the power dynamics embedded in everyday interactions. Media outlets sought interviews, and Shaq used the spotlight to advocate for inclusivity and change, emphasizing that true success is measured by the impact one has on others' lives. The restaurant became a case study in hospitality schools, illustrating how dignity and leadership can coexist and drive profit and morale. Meanwhile, Jake's transformation from a cynical waiter to a passionate mentor embodied the redemptive power of second chances, showing that humility and willingness to learn can redefine a person's path. Big Shaq also began partnering with Community organizations, launching scholarship programs and training initiatives aimed at providing opportunities for underrepresented youth in hospitality and the arts. The olive tree stood as a testament to the idea that respect is not just a gesture, but a foundation upon which lasting legacies are built, proving that sometimes the greatest leaders are those who turn moments of insult into lifelong missions of empowerment and change. The incident at the olive tree served as a powerful wake-up call, not only for Jake, but for the entire staff and management team, compelling them to confront the implicit biases that had subtly influenced their behavior. Big Shaq didn't want this to be a one-off lesson, but a turning point that would lead to lasting change. He organized ongoing diversity and inclusion workshops that weren't just about checking boxes, but fostering genuine understanding and empathy among employees. Through these sessions, stories were shared, some heartbreaking, others inspiring, and slowly, walls began to come down. Employees started recognizing the value in every person they served, no matter their background or appearance. Jake, who once viewed his role through a lens of stress and impatience, discovered a renewed sense of purpose. He became a vocal advocate for respectful service, mentoring new hires on the importance of kindness and professionalism. This cultural shift not only improved the work environment, but transformed customer experiences, turning the olive tree into a model of hospitality where respect was truly earned and reciprocated. Big Shaq's approach to leadership throughout. This transformation was rooted in humility and vulnerability. Rather than wielding his power to punish or embarrass, he chose to lead by example, openly sharing his own struggles with judgment and misunderstanding. He recounted times in his career when he had been underestimated or dismissed because of his appearance or background, emphasizing that true strength lies in resilience and grace under pressure. This transparency resonated deeply with his team, breaking down barriers between management and staff and fostering a culture of mutual respect. By focusing on empowerment rather than authority, Shaq cultivated loyalty and passion within his workforce, proving that leadership is less about command and more about inspiring others to be their best selves. His vision extended beyond profits and prestige. It was about creating a legacy where every person felt seen, heard, and valued. Inspired by the positive changes within his restaurant, Big Shaq expanded his vision to include community outreach and social responsibility. Recognizing that the challenges of respect and inclusion extended far beyond the walls of the olive tree, he launched initiatives to support underserved youth and aspiring hospitality professionals. Scholarships, internships, and mentorship programs were established, focusing on empowering individuals who, like Jake, might have once felt overlooked or undervalued. Shaq partnered with local organizations, schools, and nonprofits to create pathways for education and employment, leveraging his platform to advocate for equity and opportunity. These efforts not only strengthened community ties, but also reinforced the restaurant's reputation as a place where social good and business excellence intersected. Through these programs, countless young people found encouragement and resources to pursue their dreams, embodying the transformative power of compassion-driven leadership. It was a busy Friday night at the Olive Tree, one of the most popular upscale restaurants in the city, where laughter mingled with the clinking of glasses and the soft hum of live jazz. Big Shaq, the rising star in the music world known for his laid-back charm and sharp wit, walked through the door with a quiet confidence, hoping to enjoy a simple dinner after a long week of studio sessions and interviews. Dressed casually in a hoodie and jeans, he was far from the flashy persona many expected, but that night, his casual appearance would unknowingly put him on a collision course with a young waiter named Jake, who was feeling stressed and impatient. As Big Shaq was seated at a corner table, Jake approached him with a forced smile, barely concealing the judgment in his eyes as he asked if he wanted the usual or something less complicated, implying that Shaq's order might be a hassle. Offended but keeping his cool, Big Shaq responded politely, trying to brush off the unnecessary attitude, but Jake's smirk told a different story. One of underestimation and disrespect toward a man he thought was just another casual diner. The tension between Big Shaq and Jake escalated subtly as the evening progressed, with the waiter making snide remarks under his breath, assuming Shaq wouldn't hear or care. But Big Shaq did hear, and beneath his calm exterior, a quiet fire was kindling. When the wrong appetizer arrived, Jake shrugged and said, "Maybe next time you should order something simpler." The insult wasn't just about the food, it was about assuming Shaq's place and worth in that space. Patrons nearby noticed the exchange, some glancing over with curiosity, others turning away, uncomfortable with the brewing conflict. Big Shaq paused. Then, in a voice low enough to be heard by Jake and the surrounding tables, said, "You might want to rethink how you treat your customers. You never know who's sitting at your table." Jake laughed it off, dismissing the warning, unaware that this man was more than just a customer. He was the owner of the restaurant. This revelation would soon turn the night upside down for everyone involved. As Jake brought the check, he made a sarcastic comment about tipping and left the bill with a flourish, thinking he had the upper hand. Big Shaq calmly called him over, slid a business card across the table, and watched Jake's confident smirk falter. "You should know something. I own this place," Shaq said, quietly but firmly. The room seemed to freeze as Jake's eyes widened, the realization sinking in that he had been disrespecting his boss all night. Whispers started to ripple through the restaurant as other staff members and patrons caught on to the revelation. Big Shaq stood up, his presence commanding attention as he addressed Jake and the rest of the staff, explaining that respect and humility were non-negotiable in his establishment. Jake's embarrassment was palpable, but so was the lesson he would never forget, that appearances can be deceiving and respect should be given to all, regardless of how they look or dress. The incident quickly became the talk of the restaurant and even spread to social media, where patrons applauded Big Shaq's composed handling of the situation and the powerful message about respect and humility. Jake, meanwhile, was called into a private meeting with Big Shaq and the management team. Instead of punishment, he was offered a chance to learn and grow, with Big Shaq personally mentoring him about professionalism, customer service, and the importance of not judging people by their appearance. The story was not just about one man's authority, but about the culture Big Shaq wanted to build, one of inclusivity, respect, and opportunity. For Jake, it was a turning point that reshaped his outlook on life and work, showing him the power of humility and the strength that comes from treating everyone with dignity. Big Shaq used this experience to launch an internal campaign at the Olive Tree called Respect at Every Table, emphasizing that every customer deserved kindness and professionalism, no matter their background or attire. He held regular workshops for staff, sharing stories like his own, where he had faced judgment and had to fight stereotypes to get where he was. The campaign quickly changed the atmosphere of the restaurant, turning it into a place not just for fine dining, but for genuine human connection and learning. Big Shaq believed that success was not just about profits or fame, but about the lives you touched and the respect you fostered. His leadership style, blending firmness with compassion, inspired his team to go beyond their roles and become ambassadors of respect, setting a new standard in the hospitality industry. Months later, the story of the waiter and the owner who humbled him remained a defining moment for the Olive Tree. Patrons often asked Big Shaq about the incident, and he would smile, saying it was never about power or revenge, but about teaching a lesson in respect and dignity. Jake, now one of the restaurant's most respected waiters and a mentor himself, often recounted how that night changed his life. Big Shaq's vision of a respectful, inclusive workplace had become reality, proving that sometimes the most important battles are fought not with anger but with grace and leadership. As the restaurant continued to thrive, it stood as a testament to the fact that respect is earned through humility and that sometimes the greatest surprises come from the most unexpected encounters. It was a night like no other at the Olive Tree, a renowned upscale restaurant buzzing with the chatter of patrons enjoying their meals, the clink of wine glasses, and soft jazz music weaving through the air. Big Shaq, the famed music artist with a reputation for cool confidence and sharp wit, entered quietly dressed in casual clothes, hoping for a peaceful dinner after a grueling week in the studio. His hoodie and jeans disguised the power and wealth behind his persona, and no one could have guessed the owner of the restaurant himself was dining among them incognito. Jake, a young waiter working his shift, was overwhelmed by the steady rush of customers and harbored a growing impatience, which soon found an outlet when he approached Big Shaq's table. Without knowing who he was, Jake offered a sarcastic, judgmental attitude, insinuating that Big Shaq's order might be too complicated or a bother. Offended but composed, Big Shaq maintained his cool, brushing aside the waiter's rudeness with polite responses, all while the waiter's dismissive smirk revealed a glaring underestimation of the man sitting before him. As the evening unfolded, the tension between Big Shaq and Jake simmered quietly beneath the surface, unnoticed by most but felt keenly by the two men. The waiter continued to treat Big Shaq with thinly veiled disdain, while Shaq responded with calm dignity, allowing the situation to play out as a lesson in patience and humility. When the meal concluded, Jake delivered the check with an extra pinch of sarcasm, joking about tips and service, assuming his authority in the restaurant was unquestioned. But then came the moment that flipped the script entirely. Big Shaq called Jake over with a subtle nod and slid across a sleek business card bearing his name and title, revealing he was not only the man dining, but the man who owned the Olive Tree. The revelation struck Jake like a bolt of lightning, the weight of his disrespect crashing down as the room went silent, and the staff and patrons realized the waiter had unknowingly insulted the very owner of the establishment. Shaq's calm but firm reminder about respect and humility resonated through the restaurant, turning the night from one of confrontation to a powerful lesson about judging others too quickly.